There it goes.
Okay. All right, so it's March 19th, and we have done a fair amount of work since the last time you saw the garden area, which is where we are. And Clay put together all the materials needed, and then we had some help because it was hard work. Putting in a fence, an 8-foot fence, a deer fence basically, and that goes all the way around the perimeter of the garden with some gates. That one is big enough for the tractor to go through, and which is part of something that Clay intends to be able to do to help get dirt moved around and things moved around. It goes all the way around. The fence goes all the way around the lean-to, which is where the compost is, and we'd noticed that we'd had some visitors into our compost pile. You see the and then we've got this person gate here, and it goes down around the lean-to all the way to the end of the lean-to, and so it enclosed our compost pile. Hopefully that'll keep the critters, at least the big critters, out of it. And today we are gonna, so the raised beds, we actually repurposed or recycled or upcycled, whatever you want to call it, the tin that we found over along the shed over there. There's a bunch of tin laying down, and also, as well as some lumber that we have found around here. Just repurposed that to build these raised beds. They were 12-foot long corrugated tin panels, so we just did an 8x4 raised bed. We had enough for 4 raised beds, which they're really big. I want to say they're maybe 2.5 feet, 3 feet, probably 2.5 feet deep. So the first kind of thing I did that showed my inexperience is I tested the soil here in the garden, because I intend on having over here some berms of I don't know what. Probably I'll end up with squash, some squash or zucchini over here, and butternut squash, plants that get bigger and like to spread out more. Maybe even a berm of potatoes, and I'm not sure. I might have corn at some point, but that's what I tested this soil with the Ag Extension, and they sent me back the soil results, and it was interesting because we didn't need, there's Sebastian, we didn't need to add any phosphorus. We're off the charts in terms of phosphorus here, so we had to buy or find fertilizer that has no phosphorus in it. And I think that as I did just a little bit of research, it was because they had animals in here, and so the animal manure, I guess, increases the phosphorus levels. So no need for that, which was, I think, good. It's a lot of metal in here, but we have found all kinds of metal pieces and scraps, so it's no surprise. And there's a lot of iron in the granite around here, and the quartz also. But anyway, my inexperience was to test this dirt and not think about the fact that I'm going to use raised beds. So if I'm going to use the results of that soil test, I need to use this soil here. And as you can see, it's nice and pretty level, and not really. We don't want to dig a hole here and use this soil, but I think we may end up having to, because otherwise I'd have to go buy about 7.5 cubic yards of soil to fill these raised beds. There's calculators online for how much compost, how much soil you need based on area in your raised beds. And the other inexperience or just stupid thing I did was they're 4x8, so it's 32 kind of square feet just based on that, but not cubic feet. And then it says how much depth do you want for your compost, which I wanted 6 inches of compost, and so I did the calculation. We went to the nursery and we bought enough compost, which is over there in the lean-to, for one raised bed because I didn't multiply times 4. So we need more compost. Anyway, in the bottom of the, we're gonna situate the raised beds. They're real light, easy to, well, I say easy to lift, but Clay and I can move them, so we're gonna move them into position, and we need to leave enough room for the tractor to be able to get in, have some walking space around them. I'm gonna put some mulch around as pathways here in the garden as I go along. And then I've got a lot of good things to put in here already. I've got some seeds that I'm going to have to germinate, and then I've got some plants that I'm going to put in, some herbs and some vegetables, and I'll do another video with all that. But this was just kind of a next step, next phase in the garden, and we will give you more when we get to that point. Thanks.